Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2023 schedule that was released on Thursday. I needed a day to digest it and see what I really thought of it looking at this schedule, just to kind of get a vague prediction, kind of, we'll say. So we won't like say the record the whole time as we're going here. We'll kind of tally that up at the end and kind of see where we sit and what we think here. Also, put in the comments, guys, whatever you guys think that after you review the schedule, what you think the Steelers' record could be and where you think their rough patches may be. I will respond to those comments. I try to respond to most everything, but sometimes it does get difficult. However, let's move into game one. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a formidable opponent in the San Francisco 49ers, who's been a juggernaut at least last year, making it to the NFC championship game with Brock Purdy. I'm not sure if Purdy will be even healthy, guys. He had that Tommy John shit. Who knows how he's going to be there? I just don't know who's going to be under center for them. So, with that being said, and the length of travel that them coming from the West Coast into a hostile Pittsburgh environment at Acrisure Stadium, I'm going to give the Steelers the edge in that game. So, I like the Steelers to win there. I think that it will match up well for them, and I feel that it'll be a great start to year two for a young Kenny Pickett. And I think that's going to give them confidence moving into week two as they face a divisional opponent in the Cleveland Browns. So this is their first divisional game. It comes early this year. They're going to square off against the Browns. And I'm not sure what the Browns are going to look like. They're not going to be able to run the ball as effective with the loss of Kareem Hunt. However, they have Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb. But the Steelers always play Deshaun Watson real tough for some reason. Even when he came in with the Texans during the COVID year, you had Deshaun Watson, TJ Watt and company. This was, or JJ Watt, excuse me. So this was during the COVID year. And the Steelers, I felt like did a great job against him then. They did a great job against him last year. And let's not forget, this dude was an idiot for how long, and it's cost him a couple years of his career. And I don't think he's as good, if you ask me, as before all this bullshit went down. However, he's still there. So let's see what he can do because he is a phenomenal athlete and a great thrower of the football, if you ask me. Um, he does have good legs. He can run, but I feel that his ability to throw the football is better in his legs. So we'll just see how it goes. And I do think that the Steelers play Deshaun Watson really, really well. So I'm going to give the Steelers another W there. I think that they come out of that with a win and head into week three flying high. And then they make another trip now to the West Coast, which is going to be one of many for them this season. They're going to be going this time to the Las Vegas Raiders. And this time it's going to be an 8:20 game. So on September 24th, we're moving now into the third week of the season. I think Kenny Pickett's going to be flying high. But however, this is where the Steelers might lay an egg going up against a Jimmy G led team. Let's just say this. I feel we'll see how the injuries go. And Jimmy G is always a guy that gets injuries for some reason. I'm not sure why, but he is an injury magnet, dude. He's always hurt. When he plays, I feel that he's pretty good. He's a good game manager. I mean, he was a couple plays away, a quarter away from taking a Super Bowl, against the Chiefs. So he's not a bad quarterback. He was playing in Kyle Shanahan's system, which I don't think fits Jimmy the best, to be honest. So we'll see how it goes. I think that the Steelers do have the edge because Josh McDaniels sucks ass. I don't think he's a head coach, man. I think he needs to stay an offensive coordinator. And I don't even know how well he does that without Bill Belichick. So I just don't like Josh McDaniels. I don't think he's a quality coach. So I like the Steelers there too, but there is a chance, Steeler Nation, as we know, against weaker, lesser opponents, the Steelers tend to lay an egg, and I don't know why. But this schedule stacks up to have a couple eggs being laid, if you catch my drift. The Steelers could lose a couple of these games that we think that they should win for sure. It just depends on the personnel and the matchups in the NFL because everybody is good. Everybody. So a little bit of luck plays into that too. So now, after the Raiders, we move down to the Houston Texans. We're going back again. This will be in Houston for a 1 p.m. start on October 1st. And this will be week 4. And CJ Stroud and all their new draft picks down in Houston, I think, are still going to be getting their legs underneath them. And I think the Steelers by week 4 should be really starting to gain some steam and really starting to get their shit together. So, and I think that they're going to be a lot better by week 4. And I think the Houston Texans are just going to be outgunned in this situation, considering the Steelers' new abilities to run and bigger personnel sets, the 12 personnel sets, being able to put big, giant guys in motion and mixing them in with some super playmakers, George Pickens, I just think it's going to be too much for the Texans defense, one. And the Texans offense, I don't think CJ Stroud is going to be able to handle the exotic plays that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to provide with playing some 3 safety sets. It appears that they're going to be geared up for that. And now with bigger, stronger corners, they're going to be more physical, which allows TJ Watt and company to hit home right away and get that extra half second to get to Stroud, and he's going to be running for his life, I think. And I like the Steelers in that one too. I like the Steelers to be moving toward the bye week with a pretty damn good record, even possibly be in the division lead. And they very well could possibly be undefeated by the time the bye week hits at week 6. So now that's 4 weeks of the schedule. Once we get out of Texas, now we're coming back, and Baltimore's coming to town at Acrisure Stadium. This is always a tough game, guys. Always. You guys that watch Steeler football or any football, AFC North football, when it comes to the Ravens Steelers games, those are always good games. So you don't know who's going to win. However, the Steelers play Lamar Jackson well. They beat him up, in my opinion. I mean, look, a couple years ago, Spillane tearing his ass up with a couple interceptions. Then you got the ball hawk back there, Minka. You just got a lot of players on the field that are able to control Lamar Jackson, and they don't let him run wild. One, they don't let him get out of the pocket. Two, and they really dictate the game for Lamar. And I feel that he looks flustered. He looks like he has no knowledge of even what's going on half the time when the Steelers are out there playing him. They play him well. He hasn't beaten them, I don't think. So maybe once. Yeah, once, I think. It's not a very good record. He doesn't have a very good record against the Steelers. We'll go into that maybe another day as we inch closer toward that week, toward that game on October 8th. Now we're going to be moving again. I like the let's get back to that, guys. I do like the Steelers in that game. However, it's a divisional game, so it could go any way. You never know in those divisional games. But I do like the Steelers, and that's where I'm saying they could be 5-6 win team, here early in 2023, which should give Kenny Pickett that big confidence, man. That big confidence of knowing, hey, my team is doing really well and I'm not screwing it up. I'm not making mistakes, and we're winning football games. That's what we hope the scenario is anyway. So moving on, we're heading back out west, another West Coast game. And now the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be going up against the Los Angeles Rams, who I just think are in a total rebuild phase. And yes, they'll have Matthew Stafford, blah, blah, blah. But they've lost some big receivers. Allen Robinson coming to the Steelers. So that'll be Allen Robinson's homecoming. And hopefully him and Kenny Pickett will go off on the Rams defense and have a big night in Los Angeles, California, and really be the stars of the show in the city there in Los Angeles. So I like the Steelers in that game also. So that would give us what? 1, 2, 3, 5. Yeah, 5 wins heading in that. Now we'll have that bye week, I believe. No, we'll have the bye week after the next week. So I have the Steelers 2-4-6-0, in my opinion, heading into the Jacksonville Jaguars game. The Steelers never play the Jags well at home, especially. I feel like they don't. I remember them going down to Jacksonville with Big Ben and squeaking out a win with the help of Juju Smith-Schuster. I do remember that game, but they never play the Jags well for some reason, and I'm not sure why. It doesn't matter who their personnel is, who their coach is, they just don't play the Jags well. So I remember Bortles coming up here and having a shootout at Acrisure Stadium, then Heinz Field, with Big Ben, and the Jags come out on top in a playoff game. So the Jags always play the Steelers tough. I'm not sure why, but they really haunt the Steelers most of the time. They just will lay that loss to, or that ass whooping to them, and the Steelers take a loss. So I'm going to give the Steelers a loss here. I think that Trevor Lawrence, ETN, and that crew come up here and, in typical Jags fashion, lay an ass whooping to the Steelers. It's just the way it goes. It's the NFL. Everybody's good. So I have the Steelers at 6-1. Let's make sure. One, beating the Niners, beating the Browns, beating the Raiders, beating the Texans, beating the Ravens, beating the Rams. Yeah. And then I have them losing to the Jags. So that's a 6-1 record. And now I'm just looking also, we're moving forward now to the Titans, which will be after that bye week for the Steelers, I believe. Where is that bye week? I'm sorry, guys. No, there's where we missed it. Sorry, guys. I was reading that wrong. So I have it in a squared format on my computer here, and it kind of threw me off with the dates because I don't have exactly, is it a Monday night, a Thursday night, or anything like that? I don't. So yeah, there we go. The Steelers will have that bye between the Ravens and the Rams game. So the Steelers are going to be looking like that should be week 6 for the bye week. So I like the Steelers being 5-0 headed into week 6. Then I expect them to come out, grab a W off the Rams, and then go lay an egg against the Jaguars at home at Acrisure Stadium. And now we're moving to November 2nd against the Titans. And I'm not sure who their quarterback's going to be. Will Levis, Tannehill, I don't know. They're having Malik Willis issues. They just picked him up last year in the draft. I'm not sure how that's going to go for them. And I like the Steelers in that game too. So that gives what? 7-1. And now we're headed with the Green Bay Packers coming in Acrisure Stadium. Another home game. The Titans come to Pittsburgh. The Jags come to Pittsburgh. So for the third straight home game, November 12th at 1 p.m., you're going to have the Packers rolling in. Is Jordan Love mature enough, good enough to come in to Acrisure Stadium and play the Steelers? Especially after they've just lost a bunch of weapons. I just don't think that they're good enough. I think they're rebuilding after the loss of Aaron Rodgers too. So I like the Steelers in that game also. So we'll say we're about what? 8-1 now. And then we go play the Browns again on November 19th at 1 p.m. The Browns are the Browns, and I like the Steelers against Deshaun Watson, as we've talked about before. I look for the Steelers to sweep them this season in 2023. I really, really do. I think the Steelers are poised to have a great year just with the personnel that they've added, at least on paper, guys. Don't take this as gospel, but at least on paper, that's what I see. And I think the Steelers grab another W, going 8-1, heading into their first matchup with Cincinnati. This time it's going to be in Cincinnati on November 26th. It's a 1 p.m. game. I look for it to get flexed, maybe. I don't know. Do they flex them at that time? Maybe not. Let me know in the comments. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. I'm not sure if they flex games around then or not. I would say they do. I'm not sure if there's like a certain time period they start to flex those games, especially when it starts to have playoff implications. However, scheduled for 1 o'clock, and I like the Steelers to lose here. I think they're going to take an ass beating Joe Burrow and company, or they're elite, man. And this will be a game that the Steelers, I think, lay an egg. I don't think the Steelers get swept by the Bengals, but I do think that they take that first loss against them to get that rivalry started for 2023 and kick off in the kickoff game of that rivalry in the 2-game series. And I like the Steelers to lose there. So that'd take them to what? 8-2, 7-2, something like that. We'll have these all up at the end. Then the Cardinals come to town, come to Pittsburgh after that on December 3rd at 1 p.m. I like the Steelers here. I think Kyler Murray sucks ass. I don't care who you put around it. I just don't like that. I don't like him. I don't think he's good enough player for the NFL. I think the Steelers are going to beat the shit out of the Cardinals, especially at home. A West Coast team coming into Acrisure Stadium, and one as sloppy as the Cardinals are. Who knows who they have in a sweatsuit by then? I just like the Steelers there too. So I'm thinking the Steelers have about 2 losses headed into the Patriots game. I like the Steelers in that game. That's going to be a December 5th. That's going to be a night game for sure. 8:15 p.m. Pats, Steelers. Pats come back to Pittsburgh. And I think the Pats leave this time, headed back to Foxborough with an ass whooping handed to him. I think Kenny Pickett gets what he deserves and wins that ball game. Um, then we're going down December 17th. This is going to be against the Colts. The Steelers go to Indianapolis for the second straight year. Last year, they went in there and laid an ass whooping to them. This year, they're going to have Anthony Richardson to deal with, who is probably the best athlete in the draft at the quarterback position. And probably since, I don't know, who can we compare him to? Maybe a Mike Vick or something. He's probably like that. So I think that could be a toss up game. So I'm not sure how that goes there. It just depends. We'll see how the season's playing out for the Colts at that time. Whether Anthony Richardson grasps the NFL game or if it's still just a little too early for him and he's still going to be on that learning curve, because the Colts have said that Anthony Richardson more than likely is what they're leaning towards is going to be the day one, week one starter for them. So he's going to take his lumps because they think he's a learner of by doing, by being out there, by playing. Um, I know some teams are, uh, they try to protect their guy and let him learn a little bit, especially their new young star quarterback, supposedly. So we'll see how that plays out and see how Richardson's doing at that time. And the Steelers' defense just might be too much for him. So I am going to give the edge to the Steelers there. And I think the Steelers come out with another W, and that gives them back week wins after a loss in Cincinnati. So that gives them back on their winning ways with a 3-game winning streak riding high toward the end of the season. And that leads them into another Bengals game to where the Steelers now play them in Acrisure Stadium. This is a 4:30 start. I'm going to be there for sure. December 23rd. And man, I like the Steelers there, guys. I think they're going to get revenge. I think Kenny Pickett's going to get his revenge game against the Bengals, and he's going to put up a lot of points at home with his wide receiving core. I think they're going to get in that jumbo package a lot too, those bigger sets, and I think they're going to grind out the Bengals at home. And I think they'll get another W, giving them a 4-game winning streak, and that takes them back to the West Coast yet again to Seattle. And they just paid Geno Smith. They gave him 100 and some mil. So a Geno Smith, Seattle team playing in the 12th man. I don't know. The Steelers could go lay an egg there. That could be a possibility. So I like them though. I think that they're going to win, but it is definite possibility with the length of travel going to Seattle for the Steelers to lay that egg. But we'll just have to see how injuries and everything play out too. But I like them there. And then that takes them to the season finale on January 7th. It's a to be announced game. We don't know what time. And that's going to be to end it out for the division for both teams in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's going to be their final divisional game, the final game of the season, week 18. And the Steelers, I like them again. I like them to sweep the Ravens. Or not sweep the Ravens, however. Did I say that, guys? I'm not sure. Did we say that they were going to lose to the Ravens? I'm not sure. Let me see how that matched up because I don't want to say something wrong here, guys. Yeah. Nah, yeah. I like the Steelers to win that. So I like them to sweep them. Going back and looking, sorry, guys. I just had to look at the schedule again to see where I thought those win streaks were going to develop. So let's go back through and see. I like them winning against the Niners. I like them beating the Browns. That's 2-0. Going into the Raiders game, they're going to be 2-0. I like them to come out of that 3-0. Going into Houston, I like them to come out of that 4-0. 4-0, guys. I'd like them to come out of there 4-0. They're going into Baltimore, or Baltimore coming into Pittsburgh, and I like for Pittsburgh to beat them at Acrisure Stadium. That's 5-0, guys. 5-0. Now we have that bye week. We don't play again. The Ravens Steelers is on October 8th. And then we play the Rams in Los Angeles on a 4:05 at October 22nd. And Steelers, I like them to win that. So that's 2, 4, 6 wins. So we're at 6-0. I think they're going to lose to the Jaguars at home on October 29th. That makes them 6-1. Then the Tennessee Titans come to town in Acrisure, and I think the Steelers win that game. So we're at 6-1, 7-1. I think they'll beat the Packers on November 12th. That makes them 8-1. Yeah, 8-1. Let's just double check. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 8-1. And then the Browns come, we go into Cleveland to play them on November 19th. I like the Steelers to win that, going to 9-1. I think they lose to the Bengals on the 26th of November. That makes them 9-2. So we're 11 games into the season. I like them to beat the Cardinals, 10-2 now at a record on December 3rd. I think the Steelers will be sitting at 10-2. Possibly better. I think it's 10-2 though. Then the Patriots come December 7th to Acrisure. I'd like them to win that game. That takes them to an 11-2 record, which I think is going to be a good enough record to be right up there with the Cincinnati Bengals and be a shocker to most of the league, because I don't think the Steelers are going to be picked to be there. But they'll be sitting at 11-2. So now here we're moving into the Colts on December 17th. I like them to beat the Colts, but it could be a tough game depending on how Anthony Richardson's rookie year's going. So that brings them to 12-2. Then the Bengals, I think they get revenge on the Bengals, making them 13-2, going into the West Coast game against Seattle. I think they could lay an egg there, but I do like them over the Seahawks. It's a possibility, though, with just that West Coast travel, that length of travel always scares me, especially with the 12th man and Geno Smith. We'll see how the season plays out, though, but we'll give them a W there, too, because I think they're the better team. So what's that? We'll be 14-2. And then that takes us to January 7th against the Ravens. And I think the Steelers finished the season with a 15-2 record, guys. You can call me crazy. Break down the schedule how you think it's going to go. But I think they are definitely, in my opinion, a for sure 13-win team. This is the 25th hardest schedule. So it's not the hardest schedule in the league. It's almost toward the bottom, so there's always some surprise teams. We get that. But I have the Steelers with a 15-2 record, and I'm going to say stamp that shit. I think it really could be close to that. I think it's more realistically probably a 13-4 season for them, which I think will be enough to win the division, because I think the Bengals will end up losing 4 to 5 games after looking at their schedule. So I just think teams are going to be coming to play. They've been to the Super Bowl, the AFC Championships games. They've Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. They've added some players. But I think teams, whenever you're up on that upper tier, they come to punch your ass in the mouth, and you get the best every week. And that's where these quality organizations, they run into problems sometimes, because some of these teams that come in to play them, it's their Super Bowl, man. They're coming to beat you, and they give you everything. So those games are always scary. Every game's always scary because you're getting the other team's best punch all the time. But let's just wrap up this show. I want to keep it under a half hour here. But I have the Pittsburgh Steelers again going 15-2 and shocking the NFL. And I think they're going to go super, super far in the playoffs. Maybe even the AFC Championship game. However, we'll see how that plays out. But it really could happen, guys. 15-2. I know I'm even shocked that I'm saying it, but I wanted to look at this schedule, break it down with you guys fully. I glanced at it, kind of got an idea. but I didn't even know that I was going to come up with that 15-2 record until just now when we ended the video. So stamp that shit, 15-2, Pittsburgh Steelers. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm crazy, which probably some of you will, I'm a big boy. I can take your comments. So let me have it if you wish. Because I'll talk shit back to you too. So 15-2, stamp that shit. Pittsburgh Steelers going to make a big playoff run in 2023, and the legend of Kenny Pickett to George Pickens begins, and it's going to be crazy. And I think it's going to be a fun, exciting year. And yeah, stamp that shit, guys. And like the videos, please subscribe to the channel. Give us some support here. We're gonna have some cool guests on, hopefully here soon. And the content's going to keep them improving. I've upgraded some equipment, so subscribe to the channel. Keep coming back. We're going to have some exciting things happening here in 2023, especially as we move toward the season. We are going to do some parking lot reaction interviews and things like that, pre-game, post-game. I'm going to have my son and my camera guy coming down, and we're going to film some of those reactions and maybe even have some trivia giveaways and things like that at Acrisure Stadium as we walk through the parking lot. So look for us. Look for us in Latrobe also, guys. We're going to be coming hot and heavy. Mic Drop Sports. We're taking this shit over. We want to hit 1,000 subs by the end of May. So let's hit it. Let's do it. And thank you for watching, guys, and come back next time.